And we are live. Hi, welcome to Conscious Mind Tripping. I am your host, Audrey Newmont, and I have a very special show for you today. If you guys have been feeling the sick and the ick, let me see, wait on making sure that I'm here. Hold on. I mean, I'm here, but I am here. I am on where I wanted to be. So this is good. And by the way, if you're watching, you are more than welcome to ask questions, especially on either YouTube, on Conscious Mind Tripping, or on Facebook at Audrey Newmont. So, like I was saying, have you been feeling sick? Have people around you been sick? It's all I'm hearing about. And somebody literally just said earlier today that there is a thing called a 100-day cough or something like this. So what I know is information equals power. And there's a lot of information that we haven't known. So I have an information expert on health, Miss Catie, right there in the picture.
Hello.
Introduce yourself. She is one of our team. She is an amazing health expert, and we have possibly controversial things that we're going to bring up tonight. So have your thinking open, have your mind expansive so that you can, digest what we're offering. So Catie, hi, tell them a bit about you.
Well, I studied natural medicine and I'm a naturopath, and I specialize in just amazing high vibration plant foods, like probably one of the top in the country right now, because I feel that that's the direction we need to go right now. So, but I've done a lot of great things. I've been able to work with incredible people like Dr. Norman Cousins, Linus Pauling. I worked at the Norris Cancer Center. I've worked, I've been known as the nutritionist to the stars. I work with a lot of high profile athletes, like all around the world, believe it or not. And because of being able to put together like really high vibration plant foods and be able to meet needs that we couldn't really meet in, we got a little guy here today, that we couldn't meet with just regular like supplements, because it wasn't doing what we needed it to do. And so it's been a really good asset to be able to help a lot of people with that.
So you have, and then I want to say something first. There's that part of it where you got into it because you had a lot of illness going on in your own life, and you wanted to not only help your own body, your own health, but your son. Can you talk a bit about that part of your journey?
Yes, actually, I have a rare genetic blood disorder, and I gave it to my kids, and then I got Lyme disease, and I had given it to my children also. So Lyme disease was actually kind of a precursor and an experiment, before we got into the whole COVID thing and everything. And so I was constantly sick when I had it. Like my whole life, I've been sick, seriously. But these last like 10 years have been the greatest years of my life. Seriously. And I know that was my greatest benefit, to be able to be so sick to where I had to find answers that that there was just no question about it, because there were so many times that I was so close to dying. And from my heart to my to just my lungs, so many different challenges. But even neurologically, I had serious problems. But I had parasites so bad because of the Lyme disease, because it continuously replicates and it breaks down your immune system. And so you're just open to getting any kind of pathogen and any kind of parasite. And so I literally felt like every night I would go to bed and I felt like I was being eaten alive. And I was being eaten alive. And so I had to find the answers. And I knew that, that nature has our answers. There's just no doubt. But, I come to this incredible place where I knew that someday I was going to have to deal with my children having what that it would manifest, and that they would be dealing with things that were life taking, like that they could take their life. And if they didn't have the tools, it would probably take their lives, because it happens to so many people. And
I'm going to interject just for a quick second.
Mhm.
That's a very bold move in today's world, because with a parent, a lot of parents, it's like, I can't even think about taking care of my kid. I'm automatically, we put so much trust and faith in doctors. And for you to take it upon yourself to investigate for your own body and then do what you can with your kids, that's a very bold move. And I really appreciate it. I don't
you
know that
know,
I said that to you, but I truly appreciate that.
you're so right on, because somehow that was the blessing in this, that I had to go through this and to be sick all the time. And like my poor kids, my daughter was the parent. She was like taking care of me, and she would like, be afraid I was going to that I was going to die every night. I mean, not every night, but many nights. And it's scary, like it changes the whole, like their whole childhood, because it's not like a childhood where, I mean, they had a great childhood in so many ways, I have to say. I mean, believe me, grew up on the beach, they had a beautiful life. But the thing is they had to worry about me all the time, because their symptoms were coming and going, but they weren't manifesting. And it often takes, with what was going on with me, it takes like 15 to 20 years for these huge parasites that are 2 feet long to manifest. I mean, to grow, and they're curled up in different organs and glands, and eating away at you, and then all the little ones and things like that, So it's a really scary thing. And then, you know, I get a call, or actually a text, because said, "How are you doing?" to my son, and he said, "Well, not very good. I can hardly breathe, Mama, and I'm really sick." And I got on the phone with him, and we got him. He's out of the state here, and he got to a really good heart
This
hospital.
was recently.
What's that?
This was recently what you're talking about.
This was recently, yes, very recently, exactly. And the thing is like, you often wonder if your kids are going to be listening to you, if they're going to take the cues, and realize that maybe this is what's happening to them, that what happened to me. You know what I'm saying? That it's getting them, and because there's that whole denial thing, like, oh no, I can beat anything. You know what I'm saying?
Especially
I
when you're a
can
kid.
I can go to college, and I can drink, and I can whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you think you can get away with things and stuff like that. And he doesn't drink, he doesn't do any of that stuff, and he has to eat to live. He has to, everything he's doing right now. He basically, when he came in town, we had to like carry him off the plane, and he was like a grayish brownish color, and he couldn't hold his head up. He was just like, it was not our son. Because this was a world-class athlete that played in the World Cup when he was 11 years old in Sweden, and represented the United States. I mean, this was like, you would never think this would happen, because he's so good. He really does take care of himself in so many great ways. And we got him. Thank goodness there's some really incredible technology here in California and where we're at. And vibrational frequency medicine is perhaps going to be the biggest thing ever, with so many challenges out there, because of, you get a lot of stuff, a lot of toxins coming from the sky, and people are being affected by so many different things that they're taking. And even meds, even in our food, we're getting different things in our food that are not good for us, and it's
I'm gonna,
causing
I'm gonna, I'm gonna bring you back just a smidge, because
okay,
that thing about frequency medicine,
yes,
frequency healing. There's all these different kinds of devices. There's like different versions of a Rife machine, which is an energetic. Let me pause that, and I want to explain something to the audience, because it's really important to get this piece. We're energetic beings, and this is like, your heart is like a battery. Your heart is like a charger, and it
absolutely.
talks to the 50 trillion cells that make up us. And in that vibration that our heart puts out, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, when we're in those kind of feelings, like fear feelings, angry, anxious, all those things, the heart is talking to all 50 trillion of these cells, and it has an impact on different parts of the body. But then also, we're in a moment right now where there are, and Catie and I were talking about this earlier, there's a lot in the environment that we have not dealt with before. Like, she's 66, I'm 63. And in our lifetime, when we were kids, this wasn't an issue. It wasn't something that came up of things in the food. I remember when I was around 45 to 50, it was like, well, wait a minute, there's things I shouldn't be eating in food. What is
No,
that?
it's changed. Everything has changed, and there was a lot of consciousness from growers and different even administrations and things that really affected that. And
Uh-oh. Where is Miss Catie? Her phone just went off. I'm going to talk while she finds her way back in here. So when you're looking at vibrational healing, when you're looking at something like the rife, a good example of one
you
is,
hear me? Can you hear me?
there
Sorry.
you are, you're back in. I was just filling in and talking about.
There you go. I got a call. Sorry about that. And
Oh, she got another call. All right, I'm going to talk again while she finds her way back in here. So there's a thing called a Hocket, and it's a vibrational healing, and it also does detoxing. Our friend Tatiana has them at her place, which she's going to be one of my next people I have on here. So this thing, it's called a Hocket. You get in, and it blasts open your cells, and it does infrared. It also does ozone therapy, and then you've got your feet on these rife energy healing. It's a vibration. It's energetic healing. You're also breathing in oxygen. So when you're using something like that, that machine in particular is one of the great ones. There she is.
sorry about that.
Okay, you're back. Oh, let me get rid of this other
Okay.
one. There we go.
There
Okay,
we go.
so I was explaining what a Hocket is. You know, I used to call it Hocat, but the Hocket,
Yeah.
and explaining why these kind of things are so important. What was the machine that helped your son with what he had going on?
It's called the Firefly. And what it does is it diagnoses what's going on. Actually, there was another machine that actually diagnosed him, and his heart was ready to actually explode. It was that bad, and that's why he was just grasping his heart, and he looked so bad, and he could hardly breathe and everything, and that actually diagnosed him. And then they got him on this like kind of a human regenerator kind of machine. But the machine that I believe is going to make the biggest difference, or a big difference, is the Firefly, because that machine has the ability to diagnose what pathogens are affecting you. So of course they had diagnosed him with Lyme carditis, which, you know, they hear of all these people with myocarditis. And if you're around a lot of people who have maybe are not that well right now and everything, and they kind of are giving off a lot of energy and everything, you could take in that energy too, you know what I'm saying? And it's very stressful on the body, on the heart, the brain, and things like that. Anyways, and so with this machine, was telling him all of the different parasites and, you know, worms, and I mean all kinds of things that were in him. But
I'm going to pause you again for a quick second. So
yes.
when you're saying parasites and worms, I think that people have a tendency to be like, you know, I don't even want to know about that. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have any kind of conversation around that. And it's important that we look at it in the right perception. You know, we look at it with the right light. So we have in our bodies, we have a whole host of things that we're hosting. So when we're talking about pathogens, or you're talking about, you know, bacteria and things, it's when you're
There's
getting
good
into
and bad.
worms, you know, there are good and bad. And what I think is important, and this is coming from me as the therapist part of me, I think when people have the idea in their mind, oh my God, there might be a parasite in me, a worm, it's really important to be with it in the way that it's like, all right, so I'm obviously still okay. And what is the process that I'm going to do to get rid of this thing? And instead of repelling it and I don't want to know about it, we go into like cognitive dissonance and we don't want to do anything about it.
You're so
So
right.
it's important to get, we're a host for a lot and we want to keep the good stuff and we want to do the process to get rid of the bad stuff. So keep talking now with the parasites or the worms.
Yes. So, and then the Lyme stuff comes up. There's species of Lyme in on it too. So the thing is like if this thing is attacking his heart, which he could feel it going into his heart and attacking his heart, which a lot of people who actually have COVID or had maybe a lot of people I see who have the shots, they're oftentimes having heart problems, unfortunately, like the vaccines and stuff, and they
One of my
feel like
dear
things.
friends, one of my dear friends, it was maybe 45 minutes max after she had hers that her heart went crazy and then she was diagnosed with myocarditis. And that's just one of my very good
Wow.
friends. And I mean, the amount of stories, because I talk to so many people, it's amazing. This one person that I know had a close person that was a really strong guy, male firefighter, had to literally resign because he got myocarditis. And this
Exactly. It
strong,
because
reliable
it
man,
can mess up the whole electrical system in the heart.
right?
And but the thing is if there are some pathogens that in there that could be causing the disruption too, with the Lyme, this machine can go in there and it will pinpoint that. You can do a group of different, like let's say flukes, tapeworms and whatever, and then some kind of a Lyme spirochete or whatever, and they'll group them and they'll go in, they'll start using these frequencies. And literally, I did it for me because I'm going to tell you a little story that happened for me. And
There's
literally, I have the best stories. Like, oh my God, I hope nobody ever has to go through this. It's like
I
the
know.
worst stuff. And
If
you would be freaking
anybody,
out because you're like, oh my gosh, this thing. I mean, when you see that there are over 2 feet long that come out of you, and those are called what they call rope worms from Lyme disease, right? And it takes 15 to 20 years for them to grow inside of you. And so you can imagine they can go all these different places. And then you got the flukes that are they're mean. They're just mean. I mean, I'm telling you. And they'll go up and they went up into my head and went in like into my, right where my ear was. And I couldn't hear for a year and a half on one side. And so it's amazing how these frequencies can go in and just zap them, just like if like let's say we had like an EMP, like an attack or something, and that frequency comes and it blows up all of our electricity in our house, kind of a thing. Well, there's also EMPs that can actually affect us and affect our
define
heart.
an EMP for everybody.
What's that?
Define EMP for
Okay,
everybody.
they're electromagnetic pulses that actually we can use as warfare, believe it or not, or they can affect different, like if you remember like what happened in Havana, Cuba,
Yep.
and there were, I think it was like some people from the United States, I don't know if it was United Nations or from different administration, and they went there for some meeting or whatever, and there was actually these EMP frequencies, pulses that were used, and many of them have never recovered. It affected their brain, affected their hearing, their hearts, and they've never recovered from it because it was so strong.
It's
You know,
they're very powerful, and there's something
they are.
recently that just happened with that as well. So it's important, and I keep bringing it back to this because it's just this important. We're energetic beings.
We
First and
are
foremost, we're energetic beings. We have
body
50
magnetic.
cells, each of them, each cell has its own little voltage. So
Exactly.
they have things like what I was saying before, we're of a certain age where this would have been like science fiction when we were young. And now when we're seeing this information, and this isn't made up stuff, this is actually proven. So when you are hearing this and it's about electromagnetic energy, or pulsing and things like that that are able to heal the body. Tell me more about this firefly thing, and how do they diagnose it? Like Tatiana has
Well,
this thing where, she's able to look into the organs, and is it something like that? Like, how does
it
it look?
is. It's very much like that, and it was in Switzerland. They were actually able to create this. It was it's like a um, F scan, I think is what it's called, and they were able to just like well, where they could actually like take one parasite and compare it with a frequency, and they knew exactly that frequency could kill it. And this goes way back, like maybe 100 years ago, where they were able to do that and things like that. But they were right now we have such incredible technology to find things that we never could unfold. And the more you kill these things off and you go after them, more the other stuff kind of erupts, and it may get worse before it gets better, kind of a thing, which
As
is
you
what you
know,
want, because you've got to get this all out and get it out to the forefront so that you can get it. You know what I'm saying? And you've got to focus on that. And so you need like a day in between to recover from it too, and it's good to take things like, like a paracleanse kind of a thing to help clean it out, and that has binders in it and things like that to help move it out of the body, and it's great to do like ozone, saunas, whether it's a wet or a hot sauna, and do ozone treatments with it, which is a molecule and a half of oxygen, because it can kill anthrax. And so a lot of people have a mold in them, and that it just wipes out mold, and fungus and things like that. So you
so
have to have a toolbox of things that to be able to deal with this, like
right.
enemas, like a coffee enema. You need an enema bucket, and you need, the little
All
coffee
right, gotta
that goes in
explain
it.
why that's important, because people are like, "What? You want me to do what?"
Right.
Explain
You what
why that coffee enema is so important and what it does with the, I think it's the liver, right? Or
it,
the kidney.
yeah, it's really amazing. Like a coffee enema is so important because we need to clear the pathways to allow toxins to get out of our body. And our liver, it's our filter. It's our main filter. It processes all our fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And so when we're trying to digest things and stuff, if we look at our tongue and we say, oh my gosh, we got a big old crack in the tongue, that means our liver's not functioning well and it's not processing our proteins. And so chances are, like if you've got white on your tongue and things like that, you need to do a liver cleanse, which is, I have amazing cleanses for that too. But anyways, but so coffee enemas are a great place to start, because what it does is it goes in, the coffee was used like to actually rapidly evacuate toxins, because it actually goes up into the liver, and it's like a balloon that expands and contracts, expands and contracts, and it starts breaking off all of the toxins and the garbage that's been in there. Because think about it, if it's a filter and you were to unfold that filter, it's the size of a football field. Is that crazy when you think about that? Is that amazing? So imagine all the stuff that's in between those crevices, cracks and crevices. It's pretty bad. So sometimes you might even look like you got out some like leather out of you, or my son did one the other day and he got a parasite. Actually got a worm out of him, and it's powerful because it increases your glutathione, which is the mother of all antioxidants, and it actually rapidly evacuates toxins. So when you're going at that other end, rather than taking a pill of glutathione, it's so much more powerful. It can rapidly evacuate toxins that you couldn't have gotten out for a long time. You know what I'm saying?
How
So
often should somebody do that?
well, it depends on how bad things are, you know what I'm saying? But I would say if you're feeling pretty good or whatever, I would say just do it like once a month. But if you're having some problems, maybe you want to try to do it once a week and everything. And then you want to take like good probiotics to help, the replenish the good bacteria in the gut and everything. Because remember, there's good and the good guys and the bad guys, right?
Show the
And
probiotics again, because that's an important one for a lot of people right now.
what did you say?
Hold up your probiotics again and
Oh
explain.
yeah. This is great because has the DE111 in it. And why that's important is because it can get through the stomach and it goes down into the small intestine, and that's where all the nourishment occurs, right? So this is where a lot of candida, parasites, pathogens are sitting in there and they're feeding on you and everything. And so when it goes down, it gets down there, it targets the fungus, the mold, the candida, the pathogens, and it helps clean them up. And there's a patent on it. That's how great it is. It's really incredible. I'm pretty amazing. So, these are the things that are, like I also have things that, the immune bloom that has a lot of things for the
That stuff tastes
respiratory.
nasty. I'm
What?
just gonna say that stuff tastes nasty,
It
but it's
tastes
so good.
horrible. I agree. It's so bad.
My
And
ears
this one
are
is
some of the stuff.
probably, this is stealth immunity, which is probably worse. But if you're getting, let's say you're getting a lot of variants, like maybe, let's say you had COVID or whatever, you have long COVID. And so you're creating massive amounts of variants, viruses and pathogens, and, you're creating all this sickness in the body, and it keeps replicating and getting worse and worse and worse. You need the stealth immunity because it has the top antivirals in there that go in and go after like everything. And so you're gonna say, oh, I got shingles. How did I get shingles? Like, and it starts coming out of you. But it's better out of you than in you, right? You've got to get it out of you. And this is gold. This is gold. Stealth immunity is amazing. But I want
And
to
you
tell you a
get used to
story.
the flavor, just say it. I've gotten to the point where it's like I drink things and it's in my mind, I'm like, this is what it's doing in my body. So I'm just imagining it's green. You know what I mean? So I kind
Yeah,
of just push it on down and you kind of get used to it and it just becomes
oh
like another
yeah.
thing to do. You said something a second ago and I think it's an important part of all of this as well because there is the psychological aspect to this, and it's like if you think that you might have a parasite and you're doing these things, you don't have to look at it. You know what I'm saying? You can
Mhm.
eliminate it, you shut the toilet and just flush it. Sometimes that actually can make it a little bit more agreeable. And then the other part of it is sometimes you never see it. Sometimes it can be eliminated and like
You never, yeah, you didn't even know you had it, or you didn't even know that it went out of you, for
exactly.
sure.
So it's
Yeah.
important to get your mind wrapped around this in a way that works for you because we're in a moment right now where there are all of these options, all these things that we can do, but you've got to wrap your mind around getting over a taste of something because I can't even explain to you how many clients over the years it's I can't drink it, I just can't handle the taste. It's like actually you can. It's like goat yogurt. Nobody wants
Well,
to.
you can mix it with other things. You mix
That
it with
too.
like the vitamin C. Like I have a really good vitamin C that is
Oh,
all from,
really
it's
good.
mostly all from plants, but it does have a few things that are really important for cancer and things like that have been found. And it's beautiful. It's all like look at it's just I don't know if you can see that, but
Right? It
it's
is, and that's
it's
very tasty. And
yeah, it's
when
really
you mix it with
incredible.
some magnesium, and it tastes really
Yeah.
tastes like a little fun fizzy drink. It's like my soda.
Yeah, it's really great. And it's really great. And to be honest with you, like you need to have something like that to mix with these other things, and then they're totally palatable, which is great.
Or
But let
you
me
can
tell
put
you
it in
about
orange
this
juice
store.
or apple juice and things like that too,
Yeah,
right?
you can totally do that too. But that, there's a lot of sugars in those. And this doesn't have like a lot of those sugars, which is really great. I mean, because even though it's like plant sugar and stuff like that, but that can be like really tough. I do use stevia a lot, and my mycotoxin level in my body is basically in like hardly anything. And mycotoxins create a like a layer of mucus inside of the body, and it holds in disease in the body. And we want to, like my son has a really high mycotoxin level, and we need to get it out. And stevia, there's look at the studies on it. It's incredible. That's one of the reasons they tried to get it off the market, because it is one of the most powerful bactericides known to man. And it goes in there and it just starts cleaning out those mycotoxins, and that mucus starts going out of you. And if you do um like ozone, you could do like ozone and do it even, believe it or not, rectally. That's a long story, but anyways, that will take out massive amounts of that. But I wanted to share
I've heard
this.
that. I've never done
Yeah,
that, but I hear it's amazing. There's a whole protocol that you can do, and
huge.
ozone rectally is a part of it. It can be very,
Oh
very
my gosh. it's like so powerful that you'll see stuff, you'll go, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe that stuff is in me. And then you feel so incredible afterwards. And it just, it's so encouraging because you're like, I can do this. I can do this. This is so powerful.
Right.
I think people miss, by not being up, not doing those kind of things that they miss. It just takes so much longer to get to the health that they want.
Well,
I was just,
I think there's a part of it where people like, I was just talking with somebody on the phone and they're taking whatever over the counter for the flu cold thing that they've been having. And, sometimes you just have to get through the night. You have to get through things. But so many
absolutely.
of the options that you present and, the different holistic healers, it doesn't just put a band-aid over it. It gets into the origin of what the illness or the disease is. And I think that is something that is important to really notice. And I'm going to say the other part as well. The amount of people that I've talked to that the doctors can't figure it out, or they don't have options like that. It's amazing how many times people have gone that route and then they find one of our holistic doctors or a holistic kind of doctor, and it gets not only diagnosed but actually fixed, changed, cured. I've got a few clients that have had that story, so it's
Yeah, and we
important.
never say cure because you never know what can
Well, you
happen
don't
or
need
whatever. But to be able to feel great and feel like something is not taking over your body or whatever is absolutely, it's so life-giving. It's incredible, and everybody deserves amazing health and happiness. And that's all I do every day is just try to help bring that to people and give people, antidotes. Like I'm going to share this one with you because this is a story I think I shared with you before. And I had parasites inside me so bad, and one of them, well, anyways, basically they told me that I had cancer and my stomach was out really far, and I said, could it be parasites? And they said no. And I really trusted myself. I just said, I don't, and I had done so much work studying, in naturopathy in school and everything. And I created this product. It's called Tropical Digest. And it has all these amazing enzymes and a lot of really incredible ingredients in it, and anti-inflammatories and things like that. But it goes after things big time. And I, I took it, and within about 7 minutes, all of a sudden, I felt this kick where I would usually think I was having a heart attack or a stroke, and it was going up my neck and all this stuff. But I felt this kick, and it was like this. It was like a stun gun in my liver. And I said, oh my gosh, I got it. And I had enough. I made a sample container of it. I had enough for a day and a half. So I was taking it every hour that I was awake. And literally, I was passing these huge parasites that were so incredibly huge. And I just knew that I was onto it. And then they did a PET scan, and I only had one left. And believe it or not, it's been 20 years or whatever, like where I could not get this one out of me. And that was where the firefly has come into it. I started using like red light therapy, and then like this pulse, kind of a pulse therapy and everything. And then, and I could feel it crying inside of me. Like I could feel it cry. I mean, I could hear it crying. And I know it sounds crazy, but like it was the weirdest thing you could ever imagine. And they started using the firefly on me. And I'm not making any claims or anything, but what I felt was I didn't even know how big it was, but it started twisting and turning, and it must have been like this big, like that big inside of me, twisting and turning. And I would be retched on the ground, like as it was, like it was getting it, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And now I feel it's gone. Like I couldn't even touch my side. That's why I knew I had to do it. I had to take care of it and get it done, because I had to find an answer. And I prayed so much to find an answer. And it was through my son, and that this is the second time this has happened, through
This
my
is
son, that
very
I was able to
recent.
find the answers.
This
It
is
was
super
incredible.
recent, right?
Yes, and like, you know it's absolutely incredible. This was the last couple weeks, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Because we
And
were
like I
talking
couldn't
about
touch
this,
it.
and you had that thing, and you knew where it was rolling around in, and it was
Exactly.
like a real struggle to get it. We talked about that. Oh
Exactly.
wow!
And
So the
I was like, how
fireflies
am I going to do
actually.
this?
I didn't know this.
Right. That's why I know. And I've always known that frequency medicine or frequencies were the answer to kill these what I call bio warfare organisms and pathogens and parasites that are inside of us.
That makes
And
so
it's
much
the only
sense.
answer, I believe.
It makes so much sense. I mean, it
Right.
just does. Yeah,
Incredible.
that must have been incredible for you, Catie. I mean,
It was
seriously.
incredible. I mean, I must have passed like 8 of them, and I ended up one of them actually didn't go out that way. It actually twirled out of me and went up into my lungs, and I couldn't tell my family that that was happening because they couldn't take it anymore. If I even said one word, I think they would have broken down. It was just too much. It was just too much. And anyways, I ended up going to see Dr. Klinghardt. I literally got on a plane and went to go see him because this thing is inside of my lungs. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's going to, how is it ever going to get out of there? And as I continued to take the stuff and everything I just was doing everything I could. I was juicing and, doing all kinds of stuff. But this was the magic for sure. And a month later, I could feel it. I felt this ding, 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 ding in my back through the nerves. And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is moving. And I ran downstairs to my honey, who's also a doctor. And I knew I had to get to him before something happened because I thought I could easily die. And I got to him and I was gray and he grabbed me and all of a sudden this thing starts going out of my lungs, screwing out of there, and I didn't know where it went, and I went out. And next thing I know, I'm on the ground. And I got my daughter there, and my ex-husband, and then I've got 7 paramedics there. And anyways, actually, I ended up being when the paramedics came, I was actually up in my bed because I tried to do like an enema. I didn't know what to do. I was trying everything I could imagine. Somehow or other, I went out, and my daughter had put me down on the ground and had to do mouth to mouth because I was like gone.
Wow.
Uh, and I literally wake up and I've got 7 paramedics around me, and they said, "Well, you got," and my honey said, "You got to go to the hospital." And I said, "I'm not going to the hospital." And he said, "You need to." And I said, he goes, "I'm a doctor. You need to." And I go, "Well, I'm a doctor and I'm not going there. My friend was just there and she died, and shouldn't have died, So I mean, that was just my what I believed would
Right.
happen to me if I went there, because I was seeing people dropping dead all like crazy. And I'm like, I'm not going there. Anyways, so like 2 days later, my daughter would not leave my side. She was there like constantly. And I woke up and I said to her, and I said, "Oh my gosh, Ashley, I had the craziest dream that I was up in these clouds and I could see down below, and I could see you were like giving me mouth to mouth, and I died and I could see myself." And she just burst out crying. And she said, "Mama, I knew you died. I knew you died." And it was just so crazy. And so I see people out there right now that are dealing with things that are so bad. Like like the lady that came today, she's like, "My husband thinks he's doing a great thing. He went and got the shot, the vaccine, and he's as sick as he's never been more sick than he has after taking that." And, so was it the vaccine, or did he get COVID and it's still with him? Does he have long COVID? You know, everything is going wrong with him. And he said, I just want to die, because it's that bad. And you know, the thing is you look at the vitamins that we don't know about. Well, how about vitamin nicotine?
I was
Nic-
just about to ask you about that. I think that is a
yeah.
very big deal. So, nicotine, I want you to go into the information about that, and maybe, talk a little bit about the guy that you had at your house. I went and saw Dr. Brian.
Dr. Brian Artis.
He's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's got a great book out on it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
tell everybody why it's important to have nicotine and what that means, please.
Yes, absolutely. You know, people don't really realize, like they've been told that nicotine is a drug, and it's not. It's actually a vitamin. As a matter of fact, you have nicotine. The highest amount in any food is in eggplant. You have it in tomatoes. You have it in potatoes. You have it in celery. You have it in broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and things like that. And they are rich in nicotine, but there's nothing as close to the tobacco plant. The tobacco plant, especially if you get it organic like we do. We only get the organic. And everything on the market has these chemicals that they're forced to put on there that are um
So even if
actually.
people are doing a nicotine patch, there's chemicals in that as well,
There's
correct?
chemicals in it, and right, and it does make it addictive. That's what makes it addictive. And Harvard University proved that, and said it's not the tobacco, it's the actual chemicals that they're putting on it. So,
So what is
they can be
nicotine good
cancer
for?
causing, but nobody should be smoking. That's not the answer ever, But people
So
doing like this is actually like a little what they call the nick flakes, and you can actually put a tiniest, when I tell you the tiniest amount, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but you literally would take, like, I'll tell you, show you what it looks like tiny amount. Can you see that?
yep.
It's so tiny,
I've been
and
doing
put it
that
under your
every
tongue.
day and I have not been sick. I've had a lot of people around me be sick and I have
Absolutely.
not been sick at all. So explain why
Absolutely.
nicotine is important. Like what's going on that we need the nicotine?
Well, nicotine is like I said, it's actually a vitamin. It's kind of close to vitamin B3, believe it or not, but it's way more powerful. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably the most powerful vitamin in the world right now. When I look at it and what it does, you have the Cambridge Press University that did a whole huge book, like a huge book on the medical benefits of nicotine from back in 1492 in Columbus time all the way to 1860. And we're talking Parkinson's, dementia, heart problems, uh, lung problems, uh, catarrh, like all kinds of like things, dropsy, the things,
What's
and and
Qatar?
and and it helps with your pancreas. It's like incredible for your pancreas for like diabetes type 1 even. Like they've shown that and I'm not saying that they cured it, but there's been studies that show that it actually helped cure. Maybe they don't know if it ever came back, but it wasn't there when after they had taken it for a while. And my dog had diabetes type 1, and literally it extended her life for sure. I mean, she did pass, but she was older and everything.
You're
But
such a
her
sweetie.
little Sadie girl, yeah, she's so precious. And I mean, it gave her life. It was really incredible. So I know that the benefits of it. You should really read Dr. Brian Ardis's his book, and it's all about the thing is just look up Dr. Brian Ardis,
Yeah,
ARDIS.
if
It's
you
it's
bring
on
up
Amazon.
if you bring up YouTube and you bring up Dr. Brian Artis and nicotine, there's some very good YouTubes that he's done, and it gives you a very condensed version
Right.
of it, and it'll give
Yes, and
you
he talks about like things that are really happening a lot right now. Like in youth, the amount of people dying from glioblastomas, the brain tumors, is off the charts. And they've been able to show that when they did, you could do like even like a tea, make a tea. Like we have a really good organic mint it's a nicotine tea that is so amazing. And literally they showed it took 3 days to break down that tumor and clean it
wow,
out. Like, is that crazy?
that
And
is
did it come back? We don't know, but they lived. You know what I'm saying? I don't. And there's he says that it cured him, but I don't ever use a cure word, the c word, and both of them. And so I try to stay away from that stuff. But dementia, I can tell you, I had a friend who literally had dementia, Parkinson's, could barely walk, and it happened quickly. it was, he didn't even get the shot or anything too. So I was amazed, but
Is
his
that guy that
roommate,
you were recently talking to me about?
yeah, and his roommate got the shots badly, and he had cancer and everything and stuff. It was really terrible, and he just went down right when that happened. His health went down, and so I showed him all these great videos, and I said, "Do you want to try this?" And so he took it, and I go, "I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back." I come back, and he's not sitting there anymore, and I'm looking around for him, and he's walking around. He could barely walk when he came in, and he's walking around and he spins around and he goes, "Catie, what did you give me?" And I said, "Oh my God, Francesco, this is like incredible." And this is the major full on Parkinson dementia. And he said, "This is incredible." And he had to go back to his home that he was staying at. It was like about a lot of people there and everything. And I said, "Don't show him this." I said, "You got to hide it and everything." They found it and they took it away from him. And,
Oh, what?
and they wouldn't let me come in after that and stuff. And then it wasn't long and he passed away. So it was a very sad thing, but you could see that he was a totally different person. He was up and moving around, and he was as bright as you could imagine.
Wow.
It was incredible. So I've seen the miracles, and I know that I think you need vitamin nicotine every day. There's no doubt in my mind. I take at least 2 little pinches every day. Most of the time, though, I'll take 4 because like I deal with a lot of people who have a lot of sickness, and I never get sick. And as a matter of fact, these are the best years of my life. I'm telling you, I am as happy and healthy as I've ever been my entire life.
And isn't it cool that you're doing it? You're the one that's creating that. That's so cool.
Oh, that's the gift in it.
Yeah.
Like I can't even tell you that like somehow that that the blessing that I get to share with people that come from all over the world, and I get to help them and find their answers, because not everything works the same for everybody, it's different. But when the vibration is this strong, when they, let's say I've had athletes who were like the star player in the top soccer, they were like the top people in the field right now, and they literally could not even walk, and then within 2 weeks I got them up walking and scoring, and they win the championship, and it's the top in the world. It's like amazing. That is really powerful, you know what I'm saying? And that's how powerful these are. Mother nature is just a miracle. But we've got to change. We have, this administration is really set to change so many rules and regulations that have hurt us and have hurt our food. The farmers are going to be able to hopefully create things without all the pesticides and terrible things that they've been putting on them, and to be able
Well,
to bring
it's
life back to them.
it's mind-boggling to me that we have such a lack of awareness. The aspartame and the glyphosate. I've
Oh
been talking about it, and I'll say it sometime, and somebody will look at me like, "What are you talking about?" It's just
no, it's true.
amazing that we just are unaware that we're unaware. I'm going to just say this really quick because it happened. I had this kid that I'm working with, and this kid has been like really just doing well and growing. And he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a pack of gum. And I looked at him, and I'm talking, and it's like this, I'm nice and whatever. And he pulls out this pack of gum, and I was like, "What is that?"
Mama.
I was like, "Give me that.
Oh
I'll
my
bet you
God.
$10 that this has aspartame in it." And he's like, what are you talking about? I like totally threw him off. And I was like, I
Oh my
say that
God.
this has not only aspartame, but other things. Look at it, and sure enough, there's aspartame on it. And I looked at him and it's like, "You can never have this again. This is not
No,
okay. It's not good for
no.
you." And I threw it over on my desk.
That is
Ever
awesome.
touched it again.
And
But
he
it's
was
fun
cool with it.
to understand. I mean, when we have a new administration that's coming in and they're taking out like red dye number, what is it, 6 or something like that?
And 5, yeah, 5, yeah,
Why is
and
that important? I mean, you know the answer to these things, and
well, because a lot of the chemicals that they're putting in there are they're harmful to our health, and they can affect neurologically. It's affecting children. They put these dyes in their cereal, they put it in their candy, they put it in, uh, if they're everything, their ice cream, their whatever, and this is causing a lot of ADHD, where they can't focus, and a lot of things that are like where they may start having like other health challenges that they don't even know that are related to that, and
Right.
that all of a sudden their immune systems are not working like they should be. And this is almost like a lot of lost children right now that need to be brought back onto a path of health and happiness, and take back their lives, you know what I'm saying? And when my son came here, I had just got done hardwiring the entire commercial kitchen and off. I made it into like a little apartment kind of thing too. And so that because he lived on like the 25th floor of this high rise in Austin, and literally there, he said, "Mom, there must be 40 routers, and Wi-Fi routers all around him in this building. And they're not just on his floor, they're down, there's also the ones down below and the ones up above. And can you imagine the electrical current that is just and
So
literally."
speak to that as well, because I think that people don't know what you're talking about when you're saying all that. People, again, we're
You're right. You're right.
energetic beings. So when we
We're
are
electric. We are conductive. We can, there's good electrical currents that like I talk about in my book, Magnetic Miracles, that the magnets, like good negative pole magnets, can actually help increase oxygenation and circulation in the body, and because we are like a big battery, our whole cells are like batteries. But also then you got the electricity that is coming from the walls, and kids are getting leukemia because they're sleeping in their bed and they got that electricity right where their head is, and they're it's affecting their cells and damaging their cells. And then I mean, look at RFK's niece just died, from leukemia, and that should never happen. We have technology that we don't need to, that we can use still, but we don't need to die from it. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And it's hurting us. It's causing our bacteria load, our pathogen load to increase, and it destroys our cells and everything. And then we die, and it's we don't need that. And so what I did was, instead of I have a great little video on my website on catiesorganics.com, and that's CATIES organics.com. And it's where it's about the EMFs, because it talks like electromagnetic fields and everything. And what it has on there is the president of Microsoft from Canada, and he was doing an interview, and it said, she said, "Do you have Wi-Fi?" And he goes, "No." And she said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because I've never believed it to be safe, and it's not safe. As a matter of fact, we have no Wi-Fi here, believe it or not. And I have to plug everything in, which is totally fine by me. And because before, my son would come and he wouldn't turn off the Wi-Fi at night and things like that. And we just don't know that karma is what we think, say, and do. And it's what we don't do too. If we don't turn off the Wi-Fi, we're going to be getting zapped every 6 seconds all night long, right? And if you're sleeping with your phone underneath your head, you are definitely messing up your brain and your body and hurting you. And it's cumulative. It
Uh, on,
hurts
on
you.
on that subject, I just said something to somebody today. You cannot have the buds in your ears. That is
Absolutely not.
there's a few things like the aspartame and the glyphosate. I'm telling
And the
you, when
buds.
the person today, they were showing me a picture, and it was yesterday, and he had an earbud in his ear, and I was like, "You can't do that." It's like it's so.
No.
And people have no idea. I see people with buds in their ears all the time. Explain what that does, please.
Yes. What it does is it's actually because you are conductive, it's going into the cells, and it's creating like a vibration, and the cells start breaking down. Like it's like, can you imagine if you, let's say you have a cell like this, and then it gets zapped with this electromagnetic field, and it starts shaking and shaking, shaking, and then it starts opening up and breaking, and now your DNA and all of that is just, now you've got maybe a cancerous cell or a very sick cell that is no longer working well for you, and you're getting it all over your body. Your entire body it's happening to all over your body, and it breaks down the cells, and then you can't think very well. Your hearing, we know that if you've got little ridges in your ear, you probably had your phone up to your ear. I never put my phone up to my ear. I always put it on a stand, or I set it someplace, and I tried actually not to use my phone hardly at all. And the reason is because every time you get that signal in, like your ears, it starts breaking down like your eardrums. It'll mess up your eardrums, and the hairs in your ears start getting damaged. And those are what they're conductive too, and they're like little antennas so that you can hear. And when you damage those, you damage those. You know what I'm saying? But when you get away from it, you can actually help repair that, which is incredible. And people see that, but
That's why
if
I
you
just
actually
don't know
take the
the words.
and if you take the nicotine, we also have it like in a little elixir and everything. If you take that, they have shown that people can get their hearing back and their taste back because of that, because you're missing vitamin nicotine, and it will help bring back your hearing, your taste buds, and everything. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Real quick, do these things work? These things that like the EE system has one. You're supposed to be blocking out a lot of the not so great
Yeah,
email.
these are on the back of the phones and things like that. Yeah, they can show it. They can actually show that the disturbing disruption in the brain when you've got it without that, and it's just disturbing. The brain is getting zapped so bad, and it does buffer it. Now, the thing is does it do it 100%? That I don't know, but it definitely buffers it, and you get less like damage basically to the
And
brain.
this is shungite. So shungite is supposed to be very helpful for things like
Absolutely.
that too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I have a
exactly.
piece
I
of
have a
shungite
Shungite
that,
bracelet,
yeah.
that's so great. Yeah.
So I had a piece of shungite that I had on my phone, but I just got this new phone. I've got to get it off of my old phone and put it on there.
Yeah, put it back on there for
Look,
sure.
Katie, it's 6:57 already. Where did all the time
Whoa.
go?
It was so
Ah,
fun. Oh my gosh.
so tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and where they can, you know, learn more about what you do and, all your info, please.
Absolutely. They can go to catiesorganics.com, CATIES organics.com. And then there's a phone number there if you want to call that. That's 818-575-7558. Or I think that's the best way to do it. Either one of those things will be really great, because then you can email me too. It has where you can email us also. So we're there for you for sure. And I do a 15-minute free consultation to help.
Nice.
It's nutritionally based. So I work with you, and then I go on like a Zoom call or something, and I get to look at your tongue, your eyes, your skin, your nails, and it tells me what is going on with you and your skin and things like that. Because our body will tell us if you got a big thick tongue, you got some serious stress going on in your tongue, in your body and stuff. So it tells the truth, really.
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much. I'm
You're
going to go look at
welcome.
my tongue when I'm done here.
I
And I've
know.
been doing
I
so
have
many.
people lined up with their tongues out. It's the funniest thing.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate all the
you.
information. You're just like a wealth of knowledge. So,
Thank
just
you,
real quick
Audrey.
on a quick other thing, because I think people will be interested. Where can people do that firefly thing? What's the source?
It's called Just Hope, and it's in Westlake, California.
Okay,
And yeah, so you could just look up Just Hope, and they're actually a Christian based center. So their hearts are just so beautiful. No, it's like nobody, they don't turn away people. They make it work for you for sure.
nice, nice. So
Yeah.
Westlake Village. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. You can also probably look it up online. Firefly. Is it called Firefly Healing Device? What would they look
I
at?
don't actually know. I did try to look it up, and I could not really even find it, to be
No.
honest with you. So it must be only sold to, they have a distributor that just sells to these type of places and stuff.
Okay.
So, there's really, I couldn't find any place around here that does it, but there is a place in the Hamptons. There's like, it's spread out and stuff, but I have somebody on the East Coast that needs it really badly,
Oh,
and I feel like for so many of these people, their only hope is something like this. They've
yeah.
tried everything else,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the bottom line is there are solutions. And if you
Yes.
keep going to wherever and you keep not getting to the health of your body, sometimes it's worth looking at new avenues. Like I said at the beginning of this, information equals power. And I think that there's a
Yes.
lot of information that you just shared that many people are unaware of. So the more that we
For
inform
sure.
ourselves and you look at new options, because we're in this moment right now that technology, with the quantum computing, it exponentially speeds things up. There's the
It's
Rosh,
amazing.
that Hellcat, all these different, now the Firefly, all of these different options that can help you to work through the symptoms and get to the health of the body. So thank you so
You're
much for all
so
of your
welcome.
information. I love you so much.
I love you so much love, and for anybody who needs help, please, email us or call us. We are here for you. katiesorganics.com.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And just for everybody to know, I will be back here again next week. And next week on Tuesdays, I'm starting a new group. It's going to be game night. I have another book after the Mind Trip game, and I'm going to be presenting it in this group. It's a very similar thing, but it's for people who are gamers. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very tool oriented, and it's going to be completely different, something I've never done before. So it's starting next Tuesday, from 7 to 9, or it might be 6:30. I'm debating. So contact me for more information about that. And I think I will probably have Miss Catie on here again soon, because you're just so
Yay.
much information. So thank you very much. Much love to
Thank
all of
you.
you. And I will see everybody again soon. And Catie, I will see you soon.
Yes.
Take care, everybody. Good night.